G'day viewers, soldiering on with videos, trying for a video every day in October. And today I'm going to ask one of the big questions. When a politician changes their position on an important topic, are they an intelligent, principled person who weighed up new information and realised they were wrong in the past and they needed to change where they were? Or are they a spineless flip-flopper who won't commit to anything? Well, I think we all know the answer. The answer is that depends whether or not you support them. Because looking at the way people react in politics, it's basically the ones I don't support always do the wrong thing. If they don't change, they should. If they do change, they're flip-floppers. My guy, if my guy changes, that's because he knew it was the right thing to do. If my side doesn't change, that's because they were already right. I admit to falling into this myself, but there was an interesting two examples in Australia in the last day that really highlight this, because it's from two different sides of politics and it was for two very different topics. Now, in New South Wales, the Premier Mike Baird earlier this year did a fairly extreme thing. He decided to ban greyhound racing outright. There's a big scandal after an investigation showed that greyhound breeders treated the dogs badly. They routinely trained dogs to chase the little mechanical rabbit by getting them to chase real live animals, something that's usually called blooding. And that might be a real rabbit, might be a cat, might be a possum, but basically a small animal that they would get the dogs to chase down and tear to pieces while it was still alive. This has been illegal for years. The greyhound racing industry had said for years they weren't doing it. It was proven they were doing that. They were disposing of unwanted dogs in really cruel ways. And Baird said, enough is enough. This whole industry is screwed up. I'm banning it outright. This was a huge surprise and controversial, of course, because it's a fairly big industry. And he said, it's the right thing to do. I'm a man of principle. And that's how he's always sold himself, saying he'd even make unpopular decisions on principle. Well, today he completely reversed that. And that was probably a bigger surprise than the decision in the first place, because he'd staked so much of himself on that. He had had a fairly concerted media campaign against him, and the industry, of course, was worth a lot of money, so they put a lot of money into the campaign against him. And he said he's decided he was wrong, which is a big thing for a politician to say. He was wrong, and he's looked at it, and I'm going to clean up the industry. Now, this stands so much chance of blowing up in his face. From the simple level of there's no ammunition, well, you committed to that and you backed out. Why would anyone ever believe you anyway? Two, he's saying, oh, you guys are on notice, it's got to be cleaned up. If it travels on for another year or so and then there's another expose that they didn't clean up at all and he's useless, it just blows up in his face and he looks stupid for reinstating them. This is an incredibly high risk move. Seems designed to take the heat off his party. They don't have an election for more than 2 years, but who knows? So again, whether you think he's really realised he's wrong or whether he's a gutless flip-flopper, pretty much depends where you stood on the issue of greyhound racing. And at the federal level, the opposition Labor Party, I'll stress that Baird is the Conservative Liberal Premier of New South Wales, and Labor, the Progressive Party who's in opposition federally, they have finally gone through with what they'd been hinting and threatening at for ages, in that they blocked the idea of a plebiscite on marriage equality in the Senate. A plebiscite can't possibly go ahead now because it's being blocked in the Senate. Now, some people have pointed out that as recently as like 2 years ago, Bill Shorten was saying he thought plebiscite was a fine idea. But certainly for the last year or so, he's been saying the opposite. He's been saying, no, it's wrong, it's bad. Now, again, whether you think he just saw some political gain in opposing the government, or you think he consulted with the people who were affected by marriage equality and they said, no, plebiscite, horrible, ugly, actually encouraging people to publicly vilify the LGBTI community and say, no, they're evil, sick, wrong. Because really, that's the only argument against marriage equality, that the gays are less than everyone else. That is the only argument. Whether you invoke your magic man in the sky or whatever, what you are saying is they are less. They are an aberration. They do not deserve this basic right. And if you say otherwise, you're a fucking coward. I almost prefer the rabid hate mongers who do their awful abusive thing about marriage equality, because at least they're honest. The scumfucks who go on about, oh, decent, open-minded debate are lying, snivelling toadies. You are just saying they're less than human. They don't deserve this basic human right. Now, besides the fact I support this decision and this action, it has a pretty good knock-on effect for me as well. I was never going to get gay married. I'm not even getting hetero married. I'm not into marriage at all. But what I am into is kicking around conservative politicians. And this, for Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, has fucked him royally. Because he can't commit to what Labor's saying he should do. Just saying, just do your job and have the people in Parliament vote on it. It is widely regarded, if parliamentarians were allowed to have a free vote, marriage equality would pass quite easily. Not unanimously by any stretch of the imagination, but it would pass. But you see, Turnbull's only got a one-seat majority in his government, and he's already had one ultra-conservative in his party straight out hold a gun to his head and said, if you do it, if you say we're going to have a vote in Parliament, I'll withdraw my support for you and I'll table a no confidence motion against you. And he would lose. He would be fucked. And that would bring back Tony Abbott. You know, on the downside, psychopath who would destroy the country. On the upside, lots of material for me. I don't mean to sound really selfish, because Tony Abbott was a psychopath and was going to drag this country down the gurgler, but he gave me so much material. Can't you let me have this? Like, let the gays get married and let me have the comedic value of Tony Abbott.